Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Dialogue Volume 3. And we have Tai as usual. Thank you so much for Tai for coming to the Sashiko Dialogue.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
And today we have a topic, how can we raise our voice of Sashiko in English? And that's my challenge throughout last 5 or 6 years. There's some big trend in Sashiko in English, and I would like to raise some of my voice. And I may be doing a good job at some point. At the same time, if there's any better way to raise the voice, I would like to learn. So this is the question to Tai as well as you. What can I do more? What can I do better? So if we can talk about it, I hope that this dialogue is going to be another layer of the activities I do, and I hope that this can be the part of activities to raise our voice. About Sashiko in English, is it the right
Yeah, I
grammar?
think that's the
Okay,
right term.
okay, all right. So, do you think I'm doing a good job?
I think you're doing an amazing job at keeping that essence because that's really what you've been striving for this entire time is keeping that core essence
Yes.
of Sashiko in its ordinary state without heavily transforming it into something heavily marketed like how it is introduced in English. But at the same time, I think competing with a heavily marketed version of it is extremely challenging. And obviously,
Yeah.
I know you don't like to see it as and I don't think it only can be seen as a financial or business or kind of like social construct in that way, but it most definitely can be. And that can play into also increasing not necessarily your viewership, but just your reach. Because at the end of the day, you're spreading such a positive message. It's important that people know it, and it's not about pumping up numbers in a sense, but
But numbers matters too.
numbers do matter in a sense where people are listening to you, and it's just as valuable whether you're changing one person's mind or a million. But having
Yeah.
it's just like that thing where it's not your goal, but it gets you to your goals in a sense.
So I would like to find somewhere that I can both be somewhat um I don't know the English word. Somewhere that I can deliver the message in the form that they would like to receive, as well as try to kind of preserve the form of what it is. And my channel, what I have been talking about is pretty much everything is how to preserve what it is. That's why I don't define the answer. That's why I don't really say this is the answer. Um, so it is a very difficult question how to raise the voice, um, how to raise the voice in English. This can be a good example, but sushi, when we do the sushi, it's kind of easier to raise the voice because there is one authentic sushi we all know in Japan. Like the sushi is very structured or organized culture, and the Japanese, I think I would say 100% Japanese should know what sushi is at this moment. And it's not the sushi we imagine in the US. It's not really deep fried. That's not the sushi we imagine in Japanese and in Japan. So the food culture of sushi is already established in Japan. As a result, I can be more creative. I can be more free. I can insist what I like, insist of my doing it. So let's say I can say, this is my sushi. Please follow this. This is the message I want to deliver. Unlike sushi, sashiko is not established culture at this moment, and I don't think it will be because there's so many form of sashiko in Japan that we cannot summarize. Nobody has done that successfully. It's like, again, it's like a pizza analogy, but we cannot we cannot really summarize the pizza into one specific culture. With mac and cheese, anything we do normally, like regularly, ordinarily, it is risky to define one thing. Because if I say like my sashiko is the answer for the sashiko, I will get attention. I will get more, probably I can raise my voice. At the same time, by doing that, I will be joining this side of commercializing sashiko. Because I am the one who has the ability, privilege to speak English. So what I say is going to be the answer in English without any Japanese confirming it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's fair. That's why I keep having the Japanese live streaming every week and twice a month, like private gathering, so that my message is not jumping somewhere. So they confirm me that my message has been very straightforward in last 6 months. And if they find my saying is kind of fractured to the more business side or preferring the customer side, then that's the time for me to quit. Like not quitting Sashiko itself, but quitting to speak up, because then I'm not doing what I'm saying. I would like to include all the Sashiko possible. It's impossible to, include everything. But as much as possible, as the result, I do not define the answer. I will give them all the examples and information, but it's you or them to define what Sashiko is. As the result, I cannot speak out that confidently, but I know that what I am required is to have the strong voice. Like, follow me is probably what they want to hear.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like, well, please go find yourself.
And that's really like a big catch-22 in a sense. Are you familiar with that?
Thank you. That's very much so. It's catch-22. So
you pick one side and you lose the other.
Yeah, it's exactly catch-22. So that's my last 20, not 22 years. That's my last 6 years. That's exactly what it is. By the way, catch-22, was there this kind of solution to resolve the catch-22? It's the story to explain that, right? Technically speaking.
To be honest, I have no clue about the original story, but usually this comes down to, at least throughout my own examples in my life, is biting the bullet and having to take a loss on one side over the other. But
well, I mean,
there's that's when it comes down to small things, but there really could be that's something I'm really unfamiliar with in terms of how to really work that the right way.
It is the right way, because marriage is the catch-22. And I mean, you shouldn't know that. You should have like a dream about marriage and relationship. But when we get older, that's a very good relationship though. Catch-22 means like, it's a continuous ongoing. We don't have the solution. We don't define the answer, but it's ongoing. Yeah. When they define the answer, they get either divorced or one decided, it's equal. That's why it does not.
Like a mutual struggle?
Mutual struggle. There we go. So if we take one, the other side is going to be a problem. But, we don't want to just side it. So it is. It is a catch-22. And that's the end of the story, though. Well, it's a catch-22, so let's...
Yeah, it's easy to give up on it from there.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. And I think that's what I've been doing. And the fact that I say it's comfortable for me to be here is sort of the answer to not to feel bad about it. I do feel comfortable though, but at the same time, I don't feel 100% satisfied. Not satisfied. Fear, not a fear. I'm satisfied, but I feel like I'm not doing anything. I'm
Hmm.
satisfied, but I'm not doing enough. For what? I don't know.
But then in a way, when you do more, now this part of you that has been comfortable has that same exact feeling.
The more requires a lot of power, and that's why I'm not doing a great job recently. I need the motivation to do that, right? And I really don't have those motivations ever since I felt comfortable. I'm not saying I should stop doing that, but the reason I stopped offering the workshops so often is because I would like to focus on stitching, uh, which is at some point I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing.
And at that same time, that comfort also means that that growth has almost stunted or paused in a sense.
I'm giving up.
At least in terms of one goal that you have. That's where we come back. It's a give and take. It's a dilemma because it's things of opposite interest.
It is like in a good way, it's like comfortableness, but at the same time, I might be just giving up or turning away from it.
Do you feel that having all that almost burden on your own makes it more challenging?
I don't know if it's a burden or a responsibility that I'm carrying. I don't really feel the weight that much. At the same time, I wish I had somebody who is Japanese, who can speak English, and who can talk about Sashiko like we do. Um, so uh, there's so many Japanese people who can speak English, right? Like millions at least, I guess. 2 millions, that's probably the data says that, which is quite scary because we have like, 100 million and only 1%, 2% can speak English. That's quite scary. At the same time, if 100, I mean, if the 1 million people can speak English, of course, there are Sashiko teachers, Japanese Sashiko teachers who can speak English, especially when the Sashiko becomes the trend. They can choose Sashiko as the career for them to progress, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, there are not that many Sashiko artisans who decided to learn how to speak English. In fact, I know nobody at this moment. And probably they're not gonna come to. I might be the first one and I might be the only one. The reason is that this is purely coincidence. I was born in the Sashiko family. I hated it so much. As the result, I came to the US to avoid it. For some reason, I'm back to the Sashiko. But the fact that I can speak English right now like this is purely out of coincidence. If I were the good kid, I wouldn't be able to speak English right now. I was not a good person. Not a good person. I was not an obedient kid. Um, that's why I can do speak English. So like I wish I had some Sashiko artisans who happen to be able to speak English or who happen to be in the US experiencing this Western culture. And that's my wish. At the same time, I am getting another artisans such as um the pottery, not a
Mm-hmm.
pottery, like those making
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Pottery.
pottery,
Correct.
pottery Japanese artisans who make pottery, and then she comes to my live streaming sometimes, and then we share the same feeling about this westernization or simplification about the culture. She does not like the word wabi sabi because wabi sabi could be used for the unskilled result, which is not what she's trying to do. So I am getting a little bit bigger network, but it's not in Sashiko. So yes, well, we might define that as a burden, though. You're right. I just don't define that as a burden. But it might. Hmm. You got a nice point.
You're kind of alone.
For that, yes. And sometimes I am just happy with what I get because I'm not alone there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really alone in that. Like Instagram is a great place because many people are wishing to hear or listen to what I'm saying. But in the bigger market or bigger Sashiko trend, they would like to get an answer. That's why they want to skip all of the learning to get the answer to get what they want. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We do that same thing. And I don't want to learn how the history of pizza in order to make pizza. I just need a recipe, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, how can we just again, that's gonna go back to the dialogue topic. How can we raise the voice in not only Sashiko though, something very different. How can we raise the voice?